Hello, hello, and welcome to the Inside Events podcast by Swapcard. I'm your host, Megan Powers, with Powers of Marketing, providing marketing strategy and execution to organizations looking to improve their brand and grow their visibility, leads, and sales. I am also a podcaster, and here I am hosting this wonderful show that I'm being knee-deep in the meetings and events industry for the better part of the last 20 years. This has been a super lovely thing for me to be able to have a show that's totally dedicated to events. So I do want to say we'd love feedback on the show. And if you have any questions or comments or you want to be a guest, you can find us on Twitter at The Event Profs. That is that channel. I also want to make an announcement. This is exciting. Swapcard is hosting a online experience coming up May 12th to 14th. It's called Evolve, which I think is perfect. Evolve, the virtual event for planners. We'll put the link in the show notes. It is going to be an immersive and digital event experience. You can watch and participate in industry roundtables, exchange and network with peers from all over the world, discover a new digital and modern event experience from home. You're going to be able to interact live with top-notch industry leaders, chat face-to-face. There's online roundtables, targeted meetings, AI-powered matchmaking, which is super awesome, and then fun games and competitions. Who doesn't love playing games and mixing things up? And the event's supported by Mash Media. The agenda is still being worked out, but some speakers are listed on the website, and the link to that, again, will be in the show notes. So here we are with my wonderful guests, and I'm going to introduce Swapcard's representative and try out my French. Godefroy. Did I get it?
Yeah, that's exactly like that. Godfrey. Well done. Hi, Megan.
Hi. De France. Yeah? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Kiki L'Italien, like that sounds to me like a French name, but she's not French, right? That's your married name.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a little French there, okay. But yeah, long story. We won't go into it now.
And Kiki is the CEO, I'm going to read her whole bio, but just as a CEO and founder of Amplified Growth and Association Chat, which is a show you should be familiar with if you are not already. All right, I'm going to read their bios, and then we'll dig in to this show, which is an emerging virtual event world, which is what we are all living in. And so I think we're gonna have a really interesting conversation and hopefully cover some things that maybe folks haven't heard just yet. I know we're all meeting online now, right? And so this podcast, we always do this like this, but it seemed like the perfect opportunity to talk about these online experiences and how we can make them better. All right, so Godefroy. His job is to make the best customer experience for Swapcard customers. He's working in product management and design to bring great UX and the cool factor to the app. He graduated in business management and finance and learned code and web design on his own. He co-founded Swapcard, a networking platform for business events. He manages a great tech team with 15 awesome and talented developers. And as I said, is in charge of product strategy, design, and experience. He loves mobile tech and great UX and entrepreneurs. Me too. All right. Kiki, she's founder and CEO of Amplified Growth and host of Association Chat. Amplified Growth is a DC-based digital marketing consultancy specializing in SEO, social media, and content strategy for associations and commercial clients. She's a creative, analytical, image and trust expert with over 20 years of experience in organizational positioning, reaching key audiences while driving revenue. And you have a kind of a newer role, right? Since the fall. What do you talk a little bit about that?
So I am principal consultant with Techer International, and Techer International in the association space is The best for strategy consulting for your leadership. I mean, they come in and do, I said, we come in and do an amazing job, but they have something called the CEO Symposium that they have co-produced with ASAE for years. And now I get to be a part of that. And so that is a new role that I'm really, really excited about. I just, I think we're going to be doing some exciting things together. And I'm hoping that people will recognize a little bit of the Kiki touch on some of the new things that are coming out for Techer International moving forward. So
Fabulous. Well, welcome to you both.
thank you. Thanks. So glad to be here.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for co-founding Swapcard. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the platform today. All right, but I have a question for both of you. Is this something, this sort of just kind of a weird thing that I was just thinking, like, the word virtual is kind of funny, right? Because to me, we're not virtually talking, we're actually talking online.
Right.
So I feel like, and one of the definitions of virtual in the dictionary is temporary, simulated, or extended by computer software. So yes, we are speaking via computer software, but why not call them online events? Is it like just because virtual sounds fancier? So I just kind of want to get both your quick take on the thoughts of using the word virtual instead of online. Godfrey, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think the two words are correct, and I like your idea about online events, because virtual sometimes could mean that it's like fake, or it's virtual, artificial, and online is really more real. So I like the online term, but yeah, actually a lot of people are speaking with virtual events and not online events, so we're used to use that word.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, I'll let Kiki answer and then I'll give my response.
I think it's just because it has a V at the beginning of it. I think virtual, I think it just sounds cooler, and that's maybe why people go with it. I think you're absolutely correct. I think that, it's not like we're having a fake conversation and we're virtually meeting. We're talking about meeting online. And so, but I do think that people go with virtual because it just sounds cooler. My thing is I heard somebody call something cyber the other day. It was a cyber meeting. It was the only time I'd heard that recently, and it kind of took me back to like hackers circa 1990 or something. And I thought, wow, cyber. So at least it's not cyber meetings, right?
Right. Well, I think because the term cybersecurity is still used, so maybe that's
Maybe,
where someone pulled that from.
maybe.
But you're right. Yeah, it's a little archaic, and I do think it's just because it does sound cooler. It's easier. But yeah, but when you think about, like, especially with the emergence of virtual reality, like that is truly a fake experience, right? Or it's an immersive experience. It's putting you
Immersive.
in a different
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
This could also be called an immersive experience, depending on how well I do hosting the show. But all right. Okay, so all right, today is, and I didn't mention, I mean, I know this, you will be hearing this later, but we are recording this on Global Meetings Industry Day, a day, yeah, where whether we're online or in person, acknowledging it is super important, because what we do is very important, whether we are doing it online or whether we're doing it face-to-face. We will get face-to-face again. But there was a state of the industry. MPI is doing an all-day marathon, 12 hours of content. It's pretty incredible, actually. And the state of the industry was just on, and there was a gentleman named Jason Dunn. He's with the Cincinnati CVB, and he said, associations are mission-driven, not profit-driven, when talking about the fact that associations are required. They are, by their bylaws, by and large, right, required to meet annually. So how that works, whether it's in person or online, depending on the circumstances, right, is is in question. And Kiki, with associations being your jam, so to speak, what are you hearing in the association world in terms of pivoting? And I will say I have come to dislike this word pivot very much through all of this.
Oh,
But
I mean,
sometimes there's no better word. So how are they handling pivoting to the online format right now?
you're really seeing the gamut as far as where associations stand in their role with their meetings. A lot of people, there are stories, and I was just talking to someone today who they had landed. They were getting ready to hold their in-person conference when they discovered that it was not going to open for the rest of their attendees. I mean, talk about like right up to the moment of opening the doors. Their exhibitors were already setting up, like it was already in motion, and it was everything stopped, right? So right now you have association executives who were in that situation, association executives who had just had their big meeting and now have a little bit of time before planning for whatever is next to come. And then you have association executives who are, they have a decision to make and it's coming very quickly. And so unlike previous times when someone, suggested that maybe you explore hybrid meetings or virtual meetings, and there was this idea that, well, maybe in a year, maybe in a right now, association executives are scrambling to deal with all of these situations and to figure out what they need to know and to know it quickly enough to make these decisions. And unfortunately, fortunately, there are a lot of good solutions, right? We have the ability to offer these different tools. Unfortunately, time is just, people already feel like they don't have enough time to go through every demo, to go through all of the email that they've been getting, all of the information they've been getting. So what association executives are telling me is, and what I've seen actually in my own inbox, is that they're inundated with great information that they don't have time to go through. And so they're trying to call out the information that they can use, and they're trying to learn from their peers and their colleagues who have gone through this, so that they can find out, okay, this person has a similarly sized meeting. It's the same type of meeting I have. What did they use? What have they done? How did they vet their choice? And they're making selections for in the near term before they make their selections for the long term, because I think that they're already thinking down the road, if this is something that they're having to contend with in 2021, what is that going to look like? So there's so much conversation happening around this right now in the association space. If you know associations, every association meets, every association has meetings. So this is the big issue right now for associations.
Yeah, no question. Unlike corporations that can decide to just not have their national sales meeting or whatever. Yeah, that's a different thing, because they have to vote, they have to convene in order to make decisions about the organization, all that kind of stuff. So interesting. And Swapcard's app is intended to help people connect at physical events. Like that's how it was originally developed. So could this also work for virtual events?
Yeah, it has been developed for that, but it's still for that, and I hope physical events will still happen in the future.
Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to phrase that. I didn't mean to phrase that in a negative way. I apologize.
No. But so yeah, for many years now, the goal of Swapcard is to help event organizers to improve their attendees and exhibitor experience thanks to the digital. So as our platform already help physical events to boost interaction between participants, to provide an online experience even for physical events, because they connect before the show and they prepare the event, they they connect to the people, they chat with them, they request meeting to exhibitor even before. So they only have this online experience before. So in fact, and even after, they continue this virtual or this online meetings that for people they meet physically. So for virtual events, it's exactly the same, except that the part of the event is also from home. But all the experience is on the platform, not only before and after, but the whole experience at the events is on the platform online.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, I also attended the GMID Goes Virtual attempt at a Guinness World Record for the most amount of people online this morning. And they did live polling during it. And one of the questions was, how will live events change after the crisis is over? And 7,022 people answered this question, which is remarkable, right? Like instant research. And that 62% said most events will become hybrid. 17% said there will be a greater demand for virtual. 13% said greater demand for live events, and 8% said unchanged or the same as before. And when you think about 7,000 people answering, those are pretty significant numbers and obviously hybrid being the big one there. So I've actually been surprised, and Kiki, when you were talking, I thought back to like what feels now like the olden days when PCMA they used to do hybrid. Like it used to be, you could be at home experiencing it or be in person. And there had been some hesitation on, oh, well, if you provide it online, then people won't go, which we know now to be false. But also it created this other really cool experience for those people who were online, because it was like an event within the event. They were talking to each other in a way that they wouldn't have talked to each other probably if they were in the same room. So it's neat when technology can provide that. But I don't know where it happened to hybrid events. Like they just kind of went away. So guess what? If they hadn't gone away, everyone wouldn't be caught on their heels right now. Everyone would have an alternative. Like, okay, so now we can't meet in person. So now we just put it all online, and you don't have to start from scratch and learning. So all that to say, it's too late now for most of these. I mean, to be in this position that they're in, they're behind, but you know, everyone can learn moving forward. So do you think that this moving online would cause a hybrid model to be permanent, or do you think it'll be temporary? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
My personal opinion is that I do think that people, any good planner would be looking at this and saying, if it could happen now, it could happen again. And I think especially right now when we are still living in the uncertainties of not understanding about second and third waves, and you know, is this something that we're going to have a vaccine for in 18 months from now? What are the realities that we're going to be living with? And hey, you know, we're talking right now about COVID-19. We're talking about this current pandemic, but certainly there are other situations which also are cause for concern, like climate change. Like, you know, there are also other types of diseases in the world, by the way, that could take off at any time. It's not like we're one and done here. So I think that this is a good opportunity, a good learning moment for everyone to say, yeah, we have the technology in place in a way that we haven't before. And there is no good reason not to be prepared with offering these additional elements to any kind of meeting that we're having. I think it's only good planning. And I also think that it was always good planning. I think that when we saw the studies come back that showed that when you had a hybrid model and you had those meetings and it did not cannibalize your people meeting in person. If people can meet in person, they will, you know? So I think once we saw that, it really took away any kind of argument against offering that, because you're only really expanding the opportunity for more people for whatever reason to participate in your event or meeting.
Right. Yeah, I think the only thing that I can think of is budget, why it went away. Because it's not cheap to have because you kind of have to have a second crew or a supplement to your crew to handle that piece of it. It takes bandwidth. Obviously, we know internet's super expensive, and that hasn't changed. So
It's
interesting.
true, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I'll go ahead and put it out there. And please know that I'm not speaking on behalf of any other organization, because I'm sure that I have some colleagues of mine that would maybe disagree and argue with me now. But I would say that, looking at the environment, every time you're doing a transatlantic flight, people were already looking at the impact of this massive amount of travel that we do and asking, is it really worth it? Is it worth it for all of the meetings that we're attending? I used to send out newsletters where, I won't, not even I used to send out newsletters for a period of time where most of the responses that came back were out of office because everyone I know was always traveling. But it's for the majority of the time, I have had this huge amount of these out of office emails that come back from anything I send out. And when this took place, it's become just this little teeny tiny, I'm sure you can appreciate it, tiny response of like 5 people who that's an exaggeration, but it's that's all to say that now that people are seeing that business can be conducted this way, the argument for not offering this for those people who can't travel, for those people, I've been hearing people who are challenged with mobility issues, who have for years said that they've been looking for answers for how they can participate in meetings, and they didn't have any way to participate in them. And now they're saying finally people are looking at accessibility issues and inclusivity in that way. And I think good. I think
Yeah.
it's good that finally those needs are going to be addressed.
All excellent points. Yeah. Accessibility. That is a huge, huge thing that I hadn't really thought about in terms of this experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, and it's so funny because I had it and now I lost it. Godefroy, Godfrey. So Swapcard now has a way to do online events in the app. So can you talk about that addition that you guys have made?
Yeah. So as I said, we already the experience before the show and after the show is almost the same. But of course, for during event time, we would like to adapt to virtual events. So mostly it has been related to the video. So firstly, we allow the participants who book meeting in the app that could make this meeting through video meetings directly in the app, completely embedded. And also
that's one-to-one. You're talking about one-to-one meetings, right?
Yeah, this is one-on-one meeting. Yeah, but you already pre-booked in the app. And normally these meetings happen physically during the event, but not that happens during the event, but one-to-one meeting on the video. And we have extended this feature also to allow any participant to make a video meeting in the app at any moment. So you can launch a call and then people can just answer you. And secondly, we have integrated the most popular streaming providers to broadcast the virtual sessions. And then we have added our audience response features in order to allow participants that are watching the stream to chat with between themselves, to ask questions to speakers, to upvote to these questions, so then speakers can quickly see the most upvoted questions and answer to it. And then they can also reply to polls or quiz, and this is really cool for the engagement of each attendees. So this audience response feature was already existing because it's the feature you're using also for physical sessions, but here you just have it side on your screen, and on the left you have the screen video, and you can interact, ask questions, and reply to pull directly on the same screen. So it's really useful, and it engage the person.
That's awesome.
Also a really cool, nice feature that we have introduced is like to reproduce kind of the Netflix experience. Like, I mean, when you are on a virtual sessions, then we want that at the end of the session, you are automatically redirected to the next sessions, like at the end of your episode. So then you are automatically redirected to the next one, because the thing we want is like people stay active and stay engaged, because the biggest challenge for virtual events is the downtime. We shouldn't have downtime. So it's for this kind of small feature that we have implemented to keep people active and engaged into the platform, into the event, to continue networking. And finally, as at Swapcard, our differentiating factor and our core value is to match the audience between the other people, with the other people, and with the relevant content. So we have improved the platform to suggest to the person that you should meet, but like you are watching a stream, and we suggest you the person that are watching the same stream than you, that cool. Match yours. And so we just want to engage you with a big button connect, and because we want you to start a chat with this person. Also, when you are visiting the list of the exhibitors, so the virtual booth, we want that we suggest you the exhibitor, and we want you to chat directly with these exhibitors, and the exhibitor will be able to reply to you, send you files, sales brochure through this chat. So it was really interesting in the product to think about how to reproduce this physical experience, and the easy experience that you have at the event, that you want to meet a company and just go to booth and ask to sales representative and start to talk. And we really want to reproduce this experience also on the platform. It's for this that we have all these really cool features that make the experience as for virtual event really similar to the physical events, and even more because you can reach all people, all exhibitors in a really short time period.
Yeah, so the AI matchmaking I think is just super cool, and being able to do that during a session is awesome, because like I was saying, I was watching the MPI GMID thing, and there was no way to, someone direct messaged me and a thing popped up. I was like, oh, I didn't know, I couldn't tell how to do that. And I wanted to reply to someone in the chat, and there wasn't even a way to like reply to them. So that's a fault within the system, but also being able to pull people while a session is going, not just to get feedback for the presenter, but to get feedback for your conference as a whole. That way you're like kind of doing your survey, your whole conference survey as you go. I love that. That's amazing. Kiki, how does that all sound?
Oh my gosh. I was over here. I'm like, I'm making notes. I'm making notes because I'm like, so one of the things that a lot of association executives are looking for, they're looking for answers that make sense on the one-on-one meetings, you know, what's the best way to do that? I love this idea of, not having downtime and offering something where there's like this interaction, because it is hard to have that engagement. And one of the big concerns, and I even within Techer International, when we've been looking at a program, doing a virtual program, the question has been, should we reduce the content so that it's these bite-sized elements and spread it out over time, where you can have somebody log in and they're able to sit down for a limited amount of time and consume it, but it's like a series, versus having them sit down in one day and go through the whole day, because is a harder leap, a harder commitment to make, asking them to log in over and over again versus committing to one day. Like, which is best? What should you do? And I've heard people argue on both sides. So that's my question, actually. What do you think?
So in between having only one day, everything condensed, or several days, it really depends of your event. It really depends all the content, all the session that you plan, etc. And so if your event is really rich and you have a lot of speakers, a lot of sessions, and that you want your event be available like in several time zones, so then you have to make your events on several days. But yeah, the main challenge, as I said, is to don't have downtime. So it should be concentrate as much, but it could be concentrated like 6 hours on 3 days, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I think it's not a good idea is to have 5 days event,
Spread
12
out.
hours, and
Yeah.
really spread out, because people will log out, go on
They'll
another
just
meeting,
choose
do
not to
anything
come
else.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. It's really, because they're like, can I get someone to sit down and pay attention to this for this amount of time? And when we look at the traditional webinar software that's out there, that's not built for that. Like that's not usually the way that it's been created to be like a full long day of just one thing after another.
Yeah.
So having that interactive part, having these features where you're able to, break out and talk to people or do something different is so important. I think it's just so important.
Yeah, it's really important that in the schedule that there is some sessions, and then you can plan 30 minutes or 45 minutes of breakout networking, and then ask people to exchange, and then you go back to another session, and then at the end of the session, as I said, you go directly to the next session. And if there is several sessions, we'll suggest you according to your profile and our recommendation system to you will be automatically redirected to the session that match your profile.
That
That's
I think is
exciting.
gold. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to ask the question that everyone was asking all day today. And I know that this is the question that every presenter gets when they're 15 minutes into their presentation. How do I get the slides? How do I get this presentation? So is there a seamless way in the app to get the materials that the presenter has shown?
So could you just repeat the question?
Is there a way for the attendees to get the presentation materials that the speaker has used, their slides?
Yeah, of course. So there is two ways. So the speakers can as when he's speaking, he can show the slides according to his speech, and then on the app there is all the documents that the speakers and the organizer can provide. So then you can download even after the show.
Awesome.
So yeah, of course. Yeah,
because everyone always wants it later. And now what I've been doing, I've been screenshotting, as I've shared with you guys. I just screenshot. I like, oh, that's great data. Screenshot, but that's me for being at home.
No, but that's a really cool feature, and a really cool important feature also on that is like the organizer and the speaker, and sometimes even the sponsor can know who has downloaded these slides, etc., etc. So it's really good data that you can learn from it, and to know what kind of people is interested in which topics.
I love it. Well,
wait. Okay, wait. I want to interrupt. So wait.
Yeah,
so there's a feature where you can capture and it tells you in the analytics later who was. Oh, I love that. That's so good. I love that. Oh, wow.
That as is all the tech that allow us is like you can know. We help event organizer to know everything about their events, what their attendees does, what they did about. So we provide a lot of important data for the organizer to learn from his events, to learn to how to improve it for the next edition, etc., etc. So this data, we are tracking a lot of data, and for the organizer, and because it really helps him to understand the event, his own event, and how people are reacting in the event.
That's very cool.
Well, and one of my favorite things already about your app is the AI matchmaking from the perspective of someone who, for my clients, has had the task of going through the app to figure out who to manually figure out who we should connect with and try to get to the booth. I already think that's cool. So the fact that that'll happen like while you're in a session with someone, you can message them, I think that's amazing. I love it. Okay, so Kiki, this next question is for you, but I also want to share this second slide that I captured from the virtual session this afternoon. The question was, of your previously planned live events for 2020, what portion has gone virtual or online? And 5,900 people answered this question. 45% people said a small portion, plus or minus 25% is the thing, whatever. So 45%, 34% said none, 11% said around half, and 8% said most, 3% said all, which is interesting because I think everyone is just, is hoping that we're going to be back in business. Some people think June. We'll see what happens. If you listen to this later into this, you can say, see whether my personal take is it won't be before September. And if not for any other reason, then even if we're given the green light, the perception of there still being an issue or there still being a problem will be enough to keep people home. And so it might not be financially viable for you to actually hold the event. I mean, and that's really, we talked about the Mobile World Congress on the last episode, and was really at the beginning of all that. It was the first major show to cancel, and we were sort of talking about the implications of that. And really, they didn't really cancel it because of their perception of the pandemic being spread more. They canceled it because all of their major exhibitors pulled out because their corporation said no travel. So obviously we've come a long way. It's an hour by hour situation, right? But we have definitely come a long way in the month or the 2 months. That was February 4th. We recorded that on Valentine's Day, actually, exactly 2 months ago. Wow. So all that to say, so 45% say a small portion. So, so what's your take on when for associations, or what are you hearing?
Oh, wow. So, of course, this is conjecture, of course, but, I hear a lot of associations wistfully looking to the fall. Like that is going to be the time when people are traveling again. Personally, I don't even know that that's going to be the case because of all the reasons that you just mentioned. And also because, even if we didn't have to worry about the second wave, we do have to worry about the economic fallout from what's happening with people and their jobs now. And the fact that people won't feel confident enough to be traveling like they did before. And so I think it's going to slow things down a little bit more than anybody really wants. And I personally don't think, I wouldn't even, for 2020, I don't think that it's even on the map for that. I think that we would be looking at maybe fall of 2021.
The president of ASAE, whose name I did not write down, but
Susan Robertson.
Yeah, she was on that State of the Industry, and her perspective was associations usually have a delayed reaction to things like this because they are then not seeing renews and membership dues, and people who are affected in their organizations, or it's kind of got a delayed effect. So, so you definitely think through the end of the year, and then through probably based on what she said, probably through 2021, not that they won't meet, but that'll definitely, budgets will have to be scaled, and they'll kind of take a hit, and they'll need to make it hybrid. They'll need to use an app like like Swapcard in order to provide their attendees with like the best possible experience if they can't be there.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I think we're lucky if we see toward the end of 2021 where things are picking back up. It's hard to say because the ripple effect of what's happening in the economy and how everything from the supply chains, how all of these things have been impacted in the way that we're going to put the pieces back together remains to be seen. And I do think that associations, this is a critical time for associations because associations were formed for people to come together to do something. Right. And so this is me getting on my soapbox, and you know I like my soapbox, but this is the magic hour for associations. You know, for years and years, the question has been, are associations still relevant? You know, when we have for-profit entities that get together and offer education and they offer meetings and they offer all of these different things. This is exactly why associations were created. Right now, this is the moment. And so I hope for the association industry that our association leaders come together and that they identify, yes, they create hybrid and virtual opportunities for people to get together, because the important work of putting together our society and the way that all of our industries are working together comes back to how easily we're able to talk, communicate, and figure these solutions out together. Period. Full stop. And so this is the time. This is the time for this to happen. And I think that while many in the industry are hoping and praying and maybe living in a world where they dream that they wake up and that this fall we're all meeting and having our conferences like we usually do, I just don't see that that's the way that things are going to fall out. And I look forward to the moment when everyone picks up that role that they are meant to play, and bringing people together in any way that they can, the best way that they can, so that these problems get solved.
Wow. Yeah, that's a strong take. I know, I appreciate it. I do think that we're all just kind of like hoping, but did you hear that Microsoft canceled all of their events through July of 2021? So, or in person anyway. They can't cancel, or they're not meeting in person until 2021, which is significant. Like, that's a huge corporation that meets a lot. So, all right. So we are kind of getting close. We have a few more questions. Godfrey, do you think that physical events that are used to having an event app or some sort of digital solution, do you think that they have an advantage to now pivoting to 100% virtual? I mean, because believe it or not, apparently some people still aren't using apps at their events, which blows my mind.
I know.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely people who are used to have a digital solution, it will really help to go to fully virtual. Firstly, because they used to have their content published digitally in the app, the agenda, the exhibitor list. And also because their audience already knows that tools, it already knows how to use it to prepare the event. So yeah, in fact, they event organizers don't think that virtual event is really complex to organize, but most of the time they already have half of the work that is already done. When you have already all the platform, all the event app with all your content, people onboarded on the platform, then you have only 1 foot inside it. So you just have to have 50% of the work to then make the event fully virtual. So it's exactly what we say to our clients. We say, you already bought an event app, so you are really close to do to pivot to virtual events, and you don't have to worry about the technologies and even about how the speaker will be onboarded, because we also have great project managers that that onboard speakers, onboard the exhibitor and attendees to explain them how it works. And so, yeah, but definitely it's an advantage. And it's, yeah.
Yeah, well, and then when they go to meet in person also, then they have the online as part of it. It's already set up. So, and then it's just a matter of making sure that you have the camera feeds from within the sessions to, because a camera feed like this is quite different than a camera feed in a live room. I love that. Okay, so I want to finish off with a rosy, sunny, fun. I mean, other than the fact that having a solution like that is amazing, which is awesome. But I want to know, what's the most important piece of technology that's made your life more pleasant? Since now, Kiki and I already work from home, so this adjustment for us has been like, well, I don't have a child that I have to get educated at the same time as I work a full day or anything like Kiki does, but and her online dance classes and all that good stuff, I'm sure. What's a piece of technology that's made your life more pleasant since all this has started? Godfrey, you want to go first? Or if there's a gadget or app or something you've discovered through this that you now are excited about.
Yeah, mostly in fact, with family and friends, we are planning to an apps we're making, it's a quiz app that so you have the video, so you can, as a video meeting, so you can meet your friends and families, but plus you can have some quiz and you can, so it's hiding like some gamification in our family or event meetings during the evenings, and it's really cool because it's not only the videos and you are speaking about your day, but as our days are not so funny,
right?
It's really in that period. It's a really cool way that I discovered, and it's yeah. So I used to make it with my family and friends.
I love that. You'll have to
cool.
share that with me so I can include it in the show notes. I've been playing Cards Against Humanity online, which is, you had to have your own deck, but it's pretty fun. But I have had those ones where it's just friends and we're just kind of like, you kind of run out. You don't want to just talk about what's going on with all of this, and doomsday or whatever. So I have a trivia game. It's a 80s TV trivia that I've pulled out. I have a book of questions that I pulled out, and I told someone, just give me a number, and I just picked a page or picked a question, which is kind of fun. But I like the idea of that and having it be on the screen and interactive. Very cool.
Yeah.
Kiki, what about you?
Oh, I'm going to disappoint you. I think
Never.
I think that for this, I've actually been going in the opposite direction from tech, and I'm appreciating tech, but because I'm online so much now, even more than I was before,
right.
I'm actually doing things that I probably should have done before, but really appreciating, like, I'm reading more. I'm like of books, like real books that you open.
That she has color coded on her bookshelf.
I read a lot of books anyway, but it's like, they're not even business books. They're like, I'm getting into reading more fiction again. I'm like, I guess if I had to choose a technology, an app or something that I was using more, but it's the Farmer's Almanac for when you plant stuff. So because I've been going out in my garden and I've been gardening more, and so it's really, oh, I lost my little earbud. It's actually been really strange because I haven't been embracing more technology. I've just been using it to do stuff that I do offline,
Right.
like, when should I plant carrots versus zinnias? I don't know.
I love that. No, that's awesome. I wish I had a garden. Give me an excuse to get outside more. Although, I live in San Diego and it's been raining so much. California is disappointing through all this. Like, at least let the sun come out and give me some, something to.
It's
Anyway.
really crazy. It's like, I don't know. This is such a bizarre time because, like, I can't get over this unique pause that we're in. It's just like a pause.
Right.
And so all of this work continues, and I'm super busy. It sounds like, we're all really busy doing our stuff. But it's like we have this pause because we can't go and travel and do the things that we were doing before. And in that time, what are we discovering? And I just think it's so incredible. And I think that when we come out of it, we'll be forever changed. And I hope that that's for the better, you know?
Right.
So fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Right. Yeah. I've been coloring a lot. So I've,
You've been coloring?
yeah, adult coloring books. I was given one after my mom passed away, and it's really soothing. It's very much like gets you in you're just like get out of your head and into that, whatever that design is.
Yeah.
So I have been coloring my butt off. So,
Oh my
and taking
gosh.
pictures on my walks. And so I'm going to have this and doing my nails. So I'm going to
And
have like
doing your
this,
nails.
I'm going to have this series of photographs of nails and walks and coloring
I
once this is
love
all
it.
over.
I love it. I hope you share your coloring with me online. I think that would be
I've been
amazing.
putting it in my Instagram story, but yeah. Well,
You know what we haven't done? The technology we're missing, you guys, is like, and I know that they have it, but we have not looked at group karaoke online. I mean,
well, I
I
mean,
like
that could be done
seriously, I feel
and
like
from
that
anywhere.
that should be the answer. I
You
just
mean
haven't been doing it.
two turntables and a microphone, and I'm all over it.
I
Well, the older folks listening to this will get that
Yeah.
that 80s rap reference. All right. And on that, we will I want to thank you both so much for being here. This is such an important conversation to have. Online experiences are valuable just as face-to-face are valuable. Another thing, they did a word cloud on one of the video calls I was on today, and the word that came up the most, but it didn't show the biggest because it was written in variations, was hugs. People want to hug their mom,
Oh,
they want to hug their
yeah.
friends, they want to hug their, like, so hugs are something you can't do online, although I send you both a big virtual hug right
Oh.
now. And we'll see you online through all of this, and then in person when we can. This has been episode 9 of the Inside Events podcast by Swapcard, and we will catch you next time.